I almost wonder, do you ban Freya when I feel like it may almost be in the realm of why interrupt an enemy if they're about to make a mistake? Because I feel like the Freya stocks have gone significantly lower of just one day of play.
Yeah, we saw Tree, who crushed on Freya earlier, say, you know, he feels like it's kind of map specific right now. It's not a hero that is as meta as she once was, so not necessarily a mainstay. Take a look at the bans we actually have here for our first map, and it's Oasis, of course, but we did have the Diva ban actually coming out from T1, so kind of hinting that on Oasis here, there's going to be a little bit of Pharah at play, I would imagine, versus the Kiriko ban, which also kind of shows you that maybe they want to run some of these tanks on the ground where you actually don't, you know, circumvent them with the speed that Kiriko can provide with her ultimate. So I feel like it's a perfect storm for trying to say, we're running Pharah because we know you ban the Kiriko, we know you're trying to run something a little bit slower.
You know, I got one request for Overwatch production 2025 is that when a hero gets banned, they shouldn't be so cheerful about it. Like Diva Kiriko sitting here is like, you just got banned out of the game. Like, your existence was just to die. You're like, yeah, okay, I'm just standing in line at the DMV. No, I need some disappointment.
No, Diva's got her day off, man. She doesn't have to play. She can just chill.
Like a continue screen, like sobbing. Think, please, please, get me back in next time. I like that. That's a good shout. That's a good shout for sure. We are heading in-game now. Of course, this is the final best of 3 in this competition today, so do make sure to embrace this. It's first of 2 ultimately, but who will be the victors of this, T1 or the Gatos Guapos? We're about to find out here as ZP and will take us in.
I'm going to be honest, Wolf, as I look at this matchup, what really terrifies me more than anything else is the fact that I will be saying Gatos Guapos multiple times, and I'm going to be honest, I'm going to mess it up.
No, you won't. Yeah, you got this, ZP.
Well, we'll see.
You can just call them the handsome cats if you get lost.
I mean, worst case scenario, I may just default to GG.
There you go.
Abbreviation.
So let's take a look at comps here. Freya and, wow, just Freya Venture here for T1, at least on the outset, which is a lot of what they have shown us leading up to this tournament. So perhaps the idea is we're the favorites. We don't want to show anything. We're going to keep this hidden. But we do see the Symmetra, at least here at the spawn. Let's see if there is a Pharah swap. You know, that was my expectation based on the Diva ban. Maybe not on this particular point of Oasis where it's a little bit tougher to run. You have a little bit lower of a ceiling. It's very punishable. ColorX actually running the Reaper on the other side here, the Ramacha. So very different identities with the Moira to come out here for Gatos Guapos as well. Looking for an early team fight win, early control in that fast Coalescence build.
I mean, I don't hate it with ColorX generally having really, really good game knowledge and positional play. I mean, the standard on Reaper in terms of, you know, flick plays and everything else a little bit lower. I mean, your consistency can go up. That being said, you look at the poke between the two teams here, and it is going against Gatos Guapos a bit. Yang getting really, really low. ColorX and Punk are getting poked on back. T1 taking the initiative, moving forward, and just continuing to try and force something here. Looking for Punk in the crosshairs. Proud, though, getting pretty low in turn. Gatos Guapos hanging on here, Wolf, but for how long?
That Moira healing getting so much value, but it's still not enough to keep Punk alive. Look at how much charge Aki was able to build there. It was really, really close, but unfortunately Zest actually utilizing his passive, getting those shields up incredibly well there to just kind of continue to force the issue. Proud then gets on top of them, and like you mentioned, there's a range issue there, and once the tank is broken, it becomes so much easier for T1 to clean up these fights. And for Gatos Guapos' composition, you're really trying to win the first fight more than anything else, and they lose it, so now they have to kind of sit back and slowly build the last 20% of Coalescence. This is worst case scenario.
Well, for basically my mother, because I was just thinking, it's like, I don't love Reaper on the retake here. I really do. I love it on the defense, but like, going back in on the retake, it is so much harder to get an advantageous position, as we see right now, ColorX under the gun, super high poke damage coming in from Proud, enough to take down the Yang, and the health bars are just not looking good for GG, as again, T1 smothering from all angles.
I mean, this Coalescence here is basically a surrender button with this comp. I think they are definitely going to look to swap after this, you have to imagine. Even with the Reaper sitting at 70%, I mean, if you really want to hard force this, you're going to have a bad time. I mean, Skewed has Sound Barrier already, they have Terra Surge, they have the answers already in the war chest here. And without that Coalescence, I just can't imagine that ColorX is going to be able to get in and set this up. He still needs 25% more ult charge to build, and he just doesn't have time.
Yeah, and the problem is, too, when you run the Reaper comp, you're not likely to get miracle pickoffs the way you are on other heroes. It's basically all on your Freya to get the pickoff in the neutral. And if that doesn't happen, you're not going to get anything done here. It's a very tough situation to be in.
Spear!
Oh boy.
That's your bola gone. You wanted the bola into the ult there from ColorX, but now you don't even have the ult from ColorX, and at 86%, they're going to have to Sound Barrier just to get into touch, and it's matched by Skewed.
The beat also doesn't hit Punk. Punk goes down, not saved by Rack Attack in the moment. Percentage ticking on up as Proud easily cleans up his plate in front of him, and Wolf, that's dominant.
Yeah, that was quite dominant indeed. Proud utilizing the slow that you can get in midair there to just kind of make it a little bit cinematic with his bola finish there. You guys are trying to get on top of me. I'll just eliminate you myself. Very, very dominant showing here for T1 on this first round. But again, we have to really contextualize further, like we did before, that when you lose that first fight with Gatos Guapos comp, it's kind of unplayable.
Yes.
You either have to kind of get lucky, your opponent messes up, or you got to instantly swap and just accept that you're going to be down on ultimate. So I feel like some people are going to be watching this going, man, that was horrible there by the side of Gatos Guapos. But with the situation they were in, they kind of made the best of the bad situation, but it was kind of like, you know, it's that type of unwinnable checkmate situation.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of looked at it. I was looking at, really my view is laser focused on Color Hex. I'm just going, swap? Like, I don't know, like, you should be coming back out on this.
Punk on the ball, you know? So a bit of a different look here on our second round. Donghak will match it. This is quite strong on Oasis. But Punk has taken quite a bit of damage, ZP.
A little bit of ball v ball. And yeah, I mean, the focus fire on the Punk has been quite good from T1. I mean, just on the fundamentals, they're not wasting any opportunities for solid damage in the neutral. And you look at the health bars right now, Gatos Guapos, they're stuck running. And in this case, speaking of running, Donghak is also running the other way. Calls for a little bit of support, gonna get it. Just ruining the otherwise noble ball v ball duel.
I mean, getting a ball low is not enough. You got to get the elim, and he just is able to hook shot his way out there, get back on the point, help for the contest. And Punk had health advantage, but it didn't matter. They didn't get the elim. Bit of a trade here on the outset, but it is the cap to T1, advantage T1 in terms of positioning here. Now Proud also has bola to stop any approach. And Gatos Guapos, I mean, they don't have a coalescence. This situation is so rough for them. And look at how aggressively Zest is happy to play basically 1v3 here, knowing he has the escape. That's the amount of control T1 have at this moment in time, and I just don't think they're going to let it go.
Yeah, I mean, also retaking on this stage in particular has always been a little bit cursed, Wolf, where even if you win a fight, you have to win the fight after, and the fight after that, while the stall continues to come on in. Yeah,
I mean, let's be real. Aki was just sitting there trying to build coalescence, and that was their game plan. And then T1 were like, you're not allowed to be here. You don't have the ults, you don't have the tools, your comp is broken up. And then even entering, not mind you the point, the entries to the edge of the point, they can't even get to it. Proud's like, try to take this angle, I've got that covered. Donghak's got the other end covered, he's got a minefield. And rack it neck before he even has his ult CP. It's just murder here.
That was dirty. Had the angle, put him down, and yeah, I mean, this level of hold from T1, I'm not sure they'd be going this aggressive if they didn't feel like they had a huge mechanical advantage. You don't usually see teams hold that far out, or at the very least, live while holding that far
Color
out.
Hex takes a bit of a gamble here. Unfortunately, his pulse bomb's going to go wide. He takes a bit of a gamble there to try to look for the back cap to pull T1 back to the point, but the fight was already lost by the time he got there, so it just doesn't work out. Young gets taken out by the Lucio as he tries to mag grenade back. And I mean, this is starting to look like some Harlem Globetrotters here.
we just continue to get close to the Washington General door is what is going on at the moment, Wolf. And
all right, Color Hex on Widowmaker. I'll take it. If that's what we're gonna get out of this, I'll take it.
It's the instinctual fear response from Color Hex, like deeply born into him by multiple seasons with the Boston Uprising. Like, I must go Widow.
Well, we set up the narrative, right, ZP? We talked about the new generation. We talked about T1. We talked about Punk and Color Hex. These guys are veterans. They are legends of Overwatch. But, man, it didn't live up to it, did it? It was a one-sided affair.
I nipped off to make a sandwich. By the time I got back here, it was done. It was that quick. I mean, it was incredible, really. I mean, the Harlem Globetrotters is actually brilliant. It's such a dominant display there as well, again. I mean, you mentioned Proud being a big factor there as well, but, I mean, cohesively as a team, they were just wonderful to watch.
You know, Punk got kind of split off from his team a few times because he's without the tools in a normal composition when you're behind on a comp like this. You know, Punk looks bad if you're actually like kind of unaware of how this is fighting out, like how the situation is in terms of the positional advantages T1 have and how you're this clunky, slow Ramatra trying to get in position to get Color Hex and ult. But in truth, like, you know, the situation they were in on that first round, there's not much Punk can do, right? I don't think he played badly at all. It's just they got completely outclassed. So the second round was when T1 really their coordination just in the neutral was so much better.
Well, it was two things. I would say T1's coordination neutral was better, and then for Gatos Guapos, the coordination disappeared. It just kind of turned into, I don't know, man, just walk out the spawn door, see what happens. It's like, well, I just died. That's what happened. To what? Everything.
Yeah. Looking ahead to like this next game. I mean, T1, a display like that. I mean, GG. What is in their locker? What do they bring to this party to ensure that they kind of continue it going for as long as possible?
Well, I mean, they banned the Diva, and then just didn't even play Pharah. They're continuing to run the Freya with the Venture, which we saw a ton domestically from this team. So they didn't show any strategies. You can ban the Freya, and then maybe we'll find out if T1 has some additional depth, but you have to imagine they do, which is, I think, in part why they continue to run this composition, right, and hide like what their game plan is. I think we'll probably see a Freya ban, just because this team is so reliant on it. But I'm pretty sure they have other things up their sleeve. I want to see a more open map where your Color Hex can actually shine, maybe have a true hit scan battle.
You know what would be the real villain? The real villain play for Team 1 that would lose them all their fans and maybe their one contractually obligated co-streamer that's out there, probably watching this game right now, if they ban Widowmaker. That's not what the people want to see. Like, I want to live in the universe we get Color Hex to come out on Widow here. Forget whether it makes sense or not.
If they ban Color Hex's Widowmaker after Color Hex picks the map he wants to play Widowmaker on, I'm just going to hand the headset over to Adam here, and he's going to cast with UZP. I'm out of here.
You got to take a break, man. You got to take a break. Speaking of which, we are actually going to take a break here right now ahead of the next map. For you guys... Oh, okay. We're not. I keep testing them. But we're not actually going to be going to the next map very, very soon indeed. T1. I mean, they're one of the teams that a lot of teams have mentioned today about being on their kind of their hit list of the teams they want to play against. They want to, kind of make sure that they kind of make a mark to say we defeated them onto the next one. Them alongside Crazy Raccoons. But T1 here. I mean, it just feels like it's a very kind of like going through the motions of such. And I don't know what GG can really bring here. This seems. They just seem so good.
I mean, when you look at T1 playing internationally here, one of the exciting parts about watching the growth of some of these players, like Proud, for example, I mentioned earlier, and Donghak. Like, Donghak was a player at the beginning of his career who was just constantly criticized because he wasn't as good as the other Korean tank players at the time he was growing up around, like Fisher, like Gesture, like Miro, right? And Donghak is this guy who's like trying to figure out his identity, trying to figure out like what tank he's best on. His flex tanks are outshining him as well. He's a player that, for me, like, 7 years ago, I'm like, I'm not sure if this guy's ever going to have a place in competitive Overwatch because he's talented, but there's just so many people around him that outshine him. Now he's the guy who's like the masterful tank who plays really well around his supports. In Overwatch 2 in a 5-man roster, he actually looks so much better. Now he's one of the strongest tank players in the world. It's really cool to see that transformation as someone who's been involved in the Korean Overwatch scene for a really long time. Kind of proud of these players, like, no pun intended, to see like how far they've come in such a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing is Overwatch has evolved. You now get these teams to have this like really big mix of, hey, you have a veteran that's been around for 5 or 6 years, and you also have players that are a little bit newer to the game that have been around for maybe only 2 or 3, in some cases just 1, right? So you kind of get this new and old mix, and you also get to see how players develop over time to where, as Wolf mentions, you go to the old Donghak stuff. It's like, okay, well, Donghak, maybe he'll get subbed in this map, and maybe he'll have his moment of glory, but just stayed on the grind, learned, and got to the top.
Is it ever a case, I guess, with players who make it through, kind of and break through into the kind of more comp scene? Are there ever ones that are just all-rounders that manage to kind of like get people's attention, or is it usually have a particular character or hero or particular class that they are kind of dominant in, and that's why they're brought into the arena?
In terms of, like, if we break it down by role, in terms of tanks, there has always been a bit of a divide between what tanks you're a master of, because in Overwatch 1, you had a tank player who plays the main tanks, which is normally what we see now, and someone who plays a flex tank, for example. And Donghak did kind of walk the line between those early on in his career. In terms of DPS, you're looking at projectile versus hit scan, different types, but like sometimes there is just crossover. Sometimes there are those players that can play everything. Like Prophet, for example, is a great example of this. Some consider him the GOAT. I myself continue to do so. But you look at then the support role that's also then built, or rather split into main support and flex support. And, players usually do look at one specific type of play to hone their skills. And that's the case here for T1. Like, everyone's kind of slotted into their spot as...
Wolf.
There's a lot of cheering going.
I think we just went into the average ranked game because Mercy just got banned.
Mercy got banned. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's a throwaway ban, ZP. I think that's a very interesting ban.
Interesting, ambitious.
So for context, for those who might be
ambitious.
tuning in because you're a T1 fan, but you haven't necessarily watched Overwatch before, or you're just kind of checking out all the games here at the Esports World Cup, this hero is not played competitively very often.
Well, and also will absolutely not be played competitively in this next map.
No, it will not.
Because it's banned.
This is true. This is true.
Well, like, objectively, that is true. Now, whether the ban has any real impact on that, it's a different story.
So we are going to Atlas, which was mentioned earlier by Hunters, our newest competitive map that is added to Overwatch 2. So, at the end of the day, T1 are going to be looking to run probably the same composition that they just ran. I think they absolutely can just continue to run that Venture comp if they want. They can change it up. Orisa is banned. This is a really strong map type for Orisa, so I think it's a smart ban for Team Gatos Guapos. And maybe it'll allow, a Sojourn comp or maybe a Widowmaker if Color Hex is feeling so inclined. Like, please. We'll see what they got.
You wanted those graphics of like the heroes looking sadder. I think Orisa looked a little bit upset there. I think it's kind of semi-happening, I guess.
Well, also the same. Mercy may have looked a little bit angry, just being, "What do you mean I have to get on screen? Like, what are you talking about? I was on call, but that was just ceremonial. I wasn't actually expecting to get up here."
Well, there was like a groan in our crowd as well when the Mercy ban came. But there was some laughing. I think everyone kind of universally understands what it means. When you see that ban, you think, all right, well, that's a little disrespectful.
Yeah. But you're right. I guess. Again, we talked about confidence. Maybe that's just an element of that and a way of kind of like projecting that against their opponents prior to going into the game.
I think it is also kind of it's a signal of, hey, look, we are so strong, so much stronger than you that like we will ban this hero you had no intention of playing and we will still crush you. That can get into your head mentally.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it got into Gatos Guapos' head as I saw some giggles there from them on stage.
They were cheering.
It was more of an as like, oh, it's going to be that way, huh? Like, okay.
But that's, I think, do you know what? I think, again, if there's a team that's going to take it on the chin and just get stuck in, I think it's the GGs, right? 100%. Look at the smiles.
Yeah.
And we've got a sub as well here.
I didn't do any Viper glazing yet earlier because he wasn't on the starting lineup. And I was kind of disappointed after that first map went so one-sided. I was like, oh man, I might not get to talk about Viper. Viper to me was one of the most underrated DPS players in Korea last year. He was on Fnatic, and Fnatic ended up picking up a Korean roster. I know that sounds unusual for people who aren't familiar with the scene because Fnatic is normally a European org, but they picked up a Korean roster. And then Viper didn't really play it and was dropped. And for me, I was crushed. I was heartbroken. I was like, how do you guys pass up on this guy? He's so incredibly talented. And then this year he comes back in to T1, and you're like, oh man, now I think people are starting to realize how talented this guy is. On the side of Light coming in, this guy is the ultimate flex player. He plays support, he plays tank, he plays DPS. He's subbing in for Punk here, so I don't know what to expect, ZP, to be honest with you.
What if you get a little bit silly at Gatos Guapos and they go, you guys think you're versatile? What if we go in here and like people are like, can we get the Color Hex Widowmaker? Can we actually come in and get the Color Hex Winston coming on? Just put Color Hex on tank. That's probably not going to happen.
I mean, I don't think so. We did see the tank role icon displayed for that sub, so I'm going to assume that he will be on tank and then role locked to tank, of course, CP, but I'd love to see if actually that it was just a graphical error and Color X is going to tank and Light is playing DPS. Light's been a player who's played in the Pacific region quite a bit and is known for being, first of all, very funny and very great personality, but also incredibly good at multiple different roles as guns are coming out.
Yeah, I was going to say also going there is like going, win or lose, I just want the people at home to know I go to the gym. Like, you don't get these games without going to the gym, and that is part of my routine. And
I don't think he goes to the gym. I think he's just naturally like that, ZP.
Just built that way. We talked about regionally as well. We talked about different kind of, be it Korea or EMEA or MENA and such as well, different kind of like regions, different strategies and such. For the Pacific region, is there a particular type of way in which they play comparatively to other regions, or is it kind of like similar to some other teams from different places?
In my experience with the Pacific region, it's a lot of fast dive and aggressive compositions where you look for the first elim. You look for a type of comp like what we saw them do in the first round there on Oasis, where you're like, I'm running this wonky comp. We're going to win this first fight fast. We're going to steamroll you. We're going to have this massive ult economy. It's really fast and a little bit less calculated than, for example, the Korean region, which is a lot more slow, a lot more methodical, a lot more punishing. And I feel like it's actually kind of a bad matchup for Pacific against a team like what T1 is showing here, especially the comps they're showing, because they're so defensive, they're so methodical, they're so slow. And if you think you're just going to run in and bowl them over, they just kind of catch you. Like if you're playing dodgeball, it's like they catch the ball, you're out, you know, they absorb the pressure.
Now, I have to call attention here while we're just, filling a little bit of time. You do have a difference in drink game here where oftentimes it'll just be water up there, but one player drinking coffee or an unknown substance in the coffee container. It doesn't have to be coffee within the coffee container, Wolf. You have multiple options as a player. It is full stealth.
I love I'm like, guess the cup. Guess what's
I didn't know where
you
were going to go with this one, ZP, but yes, indeed. We have seen oftentimes players utilize a coffee cup for a tea, for example, because it's still insulated and you're not going to burn your hand. So it could be that. Could also just be hot water. I didn't actually see it so when you mentioned it, so I don't know what color it was, but yeah.
It was brown. It was a brown coffee cup is where we're at. So you're right. It is most likely coffee or tea.
Likely, yeah.
But at this point, our speculations have just hit this level of speculation because it takes a little while as you're in the middle of a substitution.
Maybe after a 4D experience, so we're in hot water, I want to feel that hot water, and here I am having hot water. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, I'm really stretching now, but it could be a thing. We never know.
I didn't expect to be talking about what we're drinking on stage, but I myself... I'm not a pro. I was like a semi-pro in StarCraft 2 a really long time ago. But I'd have coffee up there for sure, not water. I'm always drinking water when I'm just in the backstage when I'm chilling. But if I gotta lock in, it's gonna be coffee for me. I got an empty coffee cup on this desk right here. You guys can't see.
You should have seen Wolf's eyes light up when we were heading to the green room. He was kind of looking at what was available, and we have this coffee machine over there. And apparently, like the good option to hit is like there's a button called American Cafe.
Yeah, and it's an Americano, but it says American Cafe. I press it every time. Yeah. I'm going to press it again right after this.
Do you think with a lot of players, I guess like over time, tradition plays a big factor in things like, kind of making sure before games you do certain things. You have
like
certain
rituals.
Routines. Rituals, exactly.
I think for some players that's definitely true. We've had some players over the years across multiple esports that have had like these insane rituals. I think one of the most famous Korean pro gamers for this was a player called Flash in StarCraft Brew, where he still plays competitively today, where he would take a ruler and measure exactly the distance from the edge of the desk where he wanted to put his mouse pad, the distance between his mouse pad and his keyboard, for example. So he became so famous for carrying this ruler with him whenever he played an international event or when he played domestically, which is mostly what he was playing because Korea was the only region for Brood War back then. But he would measure all specifically where his mouse pad and stuff would go. And it created this kind of meme where some of the other players would, like, when they played against him, bring their ruler and kind of tease him about it and stuff like that. But he was incredibly methodical. He was the most successful StarCraft Brood War player of all time, and he just had these crazy rituals where people would look at him and be like, that's strange, but I'm not going to doubt you because you keep winning.
well, that's just triggering old like StarCraft memories where, I'm trying to remember what the backstory was because wasn't Firebat Hero that like grabbed a cup of rice and like ran out into the beach and like threw the cup of rice into the ocean?
That did happen.
Yeah, okay, I don't even remember the context. I'm just like, I don't know why he did this, but there was a lot of unintentional comedy in the old Korean esports scene back in the Brood War
I do
days.
think that like we missed that, like in the old days. So in this case of the one that if we told an old StarCraft Brood War story, this guy basically had this insane ceremony. He had this bowl of rice, was like, you're nothing to me, basically, you're my food. Tossed it to the crowd. Then ran into the ocean, took his shirt off and ran into the ocean. Okay, now we have mercy bans. I mean, I don't know. It's like pretty good ceremony, but I'm kind of going to have to go with Firebat Hero.
Well, finally, after all the chat that you guys, I'm sure, have enjoyed at home, we are ready for our second map of this best of three. We're going to dive on in. It's T1 against Gatos Guapos, but how will it fare? Let's find out.
Well, Wolf, we're back on.
I'm just going to say last thing, Google Firebat here if you guys don't believe me. All right, so let's talk about comps here because obviously Mercy will not be played. I'd love to see Donghak play one of his old OG heroes in the Zarya, but he's just teasing us with that. Looks like we're going to see Lucio Kiriko for the mobility that is so powerful on this map to get between point to point. Donghak showcasing the Wrecking Ball at the same time. And Light's looking for the Doomfist, so I think this is why they subbed Light in, because of course Doomfist used to be a DPS hero, and Light has the versatility to play this. So pretty cool tech here with, what is he, Doomfist Reaper composition for Gatos Guapos. Again, that flashy Pacific style I was talking about.
And guess what? It's just get Color Hex back on the Tracer, but also Rack Attack just got completely deleted. I'm just looking at the health bars, be like, okay, we're on the setup, and it's like Rack Attack, dying. Oh, no, actually just completely dead.
Yeah, that fight didn't last very long. Donghak is going to go over here and cap the point and wave to the fans, as this is just going to be another rough start for Gatos Guapos.
Wait, how'd Light die?
It looked like drilled off the map, or actually not even off the map. That wasn't even an environmental limb. He just got caught by Viper. So now they're really broken up. So the problem is in that last fight, Light looks for the engage, and then they leave their support line completely open, right? Rack Attack goes down. Now they're kind of caught trying to regroup. Viper gets that kill into Light, and Gatos Guapos like, oh, now Nyang has to like teleport away. He barely survives, and they never get the group up. Meanwhile, T1 have already hit 40% of the first cap.
Yeah, I mean, it's about as one-sided as it gets, and I mean, you think about win conditions for the comp that Gatos Guapos is playing. I mean, they have to get positional edge. Nyang has to be right place, right time as a Reaper, and right now is just getting pummeled in the poke game. Like, you're not really getting an ambush Reaper if you are getting ambushed as the Reaper.
So remember my Viper glazing?
Yeah.
It's you know, he's kind of doing it, ZP. He's kind of killing the enemy heroes. He's kind of killing the Gatos Guapos right now. He did go down, but he is doing a lot of work.
There we go. From Kadia, the first team wipe. Favor of Team 1. But needless to say, 95% to 0%. Blink and you've missed this round. It has been quick, decisive, most importantly here, deadly. Nyang just getting pooped off and taken down by Proud.
This is kind of one of those bewildering rounds where I kind of got to go back to, my mother once told me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. This one is so broken up. Like, Donghak creating so much disruption. The backline is always split here for Gatos Guapos. Proud and Viper are the ones who get in there and get those kills, but they're also kind of crushing the tank. Like, Light gets caught by them, gets deleted. Color Hex interacts with them, deleted, right? So you never get that grouped up fight. Now, finally, Gatos Guapos almost have their ults, only to be outclassed here in this first fight in terms of the ult economy. Viper's down, though.
Yeah, I mean, you cursed them. You talked about all that glazing and turned them rotten at the very end. However, even with the early pick, Light gets in the rough spot, gets picked off. T1, I think, is fully capable of winning the 4v5, as it was.
Color Hex here, maybe with a Pulse Bomb opportunity on Donghak, but wants to wait out the shield and doesn't take the opportunity, and Proud takes him out, ZP, and once this wears off, that's a dead Reaper, and looking like a 2-0 start here potentially for T1 if things don't change. Now, we have the full war chest. We used to call this a big 6. We can call it the big 5 now, ZP. 5 ultimates online. Sound Barrier to get Nyang into position to drop that Death Blossom. That's your best bet here. You've got the setup. Let's see what the execution looks like.
Or Skewed can just have no fear at the Doom coming at him. Drops the boop. Meanwhile, Aki gets caught by Proud in the backline. A little bit of Meteor Strike action, and away we go as Proud is just mowing down everyone.
Now you don't get to have your fight. Nyang dies while ulting, ZP. He was trying to get an ult off, but like Light getting picked there and having to...
Is that our standard now? He was trying to get an ult off, guys.
He was trying to get an ult off. He was trying to press Q. He pressed it for only 1 second. Now, like in this situation when Light has to defensively ult, the rest of the team falls apart, right? Like, your front line actually can't engage. Your Reaper can't get to where he needs to be. Skew's just going to drop this one almost like a party favor here, as this is just such a split-up fight for Gatos Guapos. Nyang's caught alone on this Cassidy, and ZP, this one is looking all but over.
I have a hard-hitting analytical question for you. Probably the hardest you've ever gotten of your career, but, how much different is this if Mercy isn't banned? Where are we at, Wolf?
I don't want to answer that question, ZP. All right, well, it's a 2-0 start here. Unfortunately for Gatos Guapos, they also burned a few ultimates in that last exchange, which ended up being, frankly, a kind of pitiful attempt there. Nyang's dead again. His comp doesn't have any stability because it's a Doomfist comp that's running Cassidy, so there's no peel for Nyang. So they just keep finding him and killing him. And they kind of do the same thing to Rack Attack as well. Aki at least has some safety because he can teleport to safety, but I mean, maybe? Light, maybe an angle? Okay, they overextend?
There's a chance. There is a chance, at least on this point. 5-on-3, now 5-on-2. Opportunity for the Guapos as they move on in. But guess what?
Donghak.
Reinhardt. Wolf.
Oh, well, I mean, it was short-lived.
Ah.
Junker Queen, we saw this earlier. Big cheer in the crowd when the cap does come through, as Gatos Guapos did have point priority. spawn closer to them, so they were able to get over there as the swaps came through. So big opportunity now to try to hold on to this one. They also have some pretty good ults here in terms of the economy that they are leading in. It's light.
We'll see if Colorhex, we'll see if Colorhex can make a move here. Pulse bomb is up already. Aki, though, already caught in the neutral. Time waning for a big pulse bomb opportunity. Niang is going to go down, and the time is over. It's not going to happen. And T1 again, a vicious fight, largely in the neutral.
Yeah, Light missing his punch there, actually, allowing Donghak to just circumvent him entirely and take Aki out of the fight. And it looked like, I believe, Proud hit the pulse bomb there on the Young. It wasn't able to actually secure the elimination, but they were able to follow up with all that extra damage coming through. So all your damage is gone. You have no tank. ColorX is holding on to this pulse. They need to buy time for the sound barriers. Viper's not going to wait.
And the dive is just too much. Yeah, he's just immediately erased off the Teutonic. And T1 is just being ruthless. I mean, this has been a dissection, Wolf. You look at the health bars, it doesn't get any better. T1 just completely comfortable and in control. And, you know, the worst part about it is that somewhere out there, Vast is cashing the easiest payday of his life because this may be the shortest game of the day.
Yeah, it is going to be pretty fast. Now, we do have, once again, Big Five. 5 ultimates coming online here for Gatos Guapos. One last stand. Or maybe they won't get it as Vigilante actually does die here. Sound barrier committed. Not sure if they needed to do that. As Young says, they absolutely did. Oh boy, CP, this one's a roughie. It's a roughie. Flip comes in, but let's see if they can hold on to this. ColorX gets a kill.
And by the way, if they don't hold on, if they lose one more fight, T1 is moving on, and the Guapos move down to the lower bracket. One of their mulligans out.
All right, Light got purpled there, but he is able to escape there. They're able to heal him up now. And still, with 4 ultimates, even the Rack Attack used his last one, Skewed gonna have that sound barrier advantage. This is a vulnerable moment for Gatos Guapos. Kitsune Russian defense.
So this one goes. T1 looking to put away 99% Vigilante, takes down Aki. Both teams though down the Kiriko. Proud, been so good in the series here so far. Can Proud finish it off? Meanwhile, Proud goes down, gets caught by the Dead on Yang on the side. Still though, fight not over yet for the Guapos. Viper, still very much a threat. Light though, down from the skies, finds one, and the Guapos continue the fight here, Wolf.
All right, they hold on. Light gets the shield there as well off of the ult. The positioning of the ult, fantastic, where he's actually completely safe, gets the follow-up smash, and ends up saving his team's chances here. Now, Rack Attack, because he used his sound barrier so much earlier, is in this awkward position where I don't think that was the great choice at the time, but actually kind of works out for him here because he's only 20% away, so he will have sound barrier advantage here. Now, they just need to make sure they don't get picked. Nobody gets caught by Viper Proud, and I think this is a winnable round here, or cap, that is to say, for Gatos Guapos.
Yeah, you just said the magic words. No one's get caught by Viper, and hey, wait, with Proud going down, there's a real chance of that. All the pressure is going to be on Viper here for pick power. Donghak under the gun, taken down. And the Guapos might not be getting out of this map without at least a little bit to their side. Well, 99 to 99%. Is it going to be enough? You have Viper coming on in. Teutonic has been used.
Going for the cap.
Going up, over. Right now, buying a little bit of time, still in overtime. T1 would still like to end this here. And now, down and over goes Viper. Staying alive for a long time. Barrier in from Rack Attacks. They feel they need to finish it out. They take down Skewed. And the Guapos, they're staying in this here. Wolf, but for how long?
Viper winning that fight. They end up pushing him away, but Rack Attack takes out Donghak here. The contest is done, and Gatos Guapos will not go quiet into that good night. They will not be 5-0'd here. They're going to get at least one Flashpoint ZP. And no matter what, they're not going down without a fight.
And you know, the B-Stream area doesn't have too much allocation for the crowd, but the crowd we have here, they're very much in favor of Gatos Guapos right now. They like what they see, Wolf, but it is going to be a long way back. 2 points to cap versus 1.
Everybody loves an underdog story. ColorX looking for some backline access there. Skewed going to look for the sound barrier engage as the Flashpoint unlocks. And here comes Viper, the big benefactor of this.
Light able to equalize though on the Vigilante. Arguably a bigger pick. Colorhex on the Viper. And overall, I mean, Gatos Guapos being real scrappy. This fight in general kind of degenerating a little bit here, Wolf, but better positioning on the point coming in from Guapos, but are they going to be able to secure it? It's looking like yes.
You know, I mentioned earlier how the Korean style is a lot more measured, a lot more slow. Not so much post 2-0 start on Flashpoint here. It's actually the Gatos Guapos who are now playing incredibly respectfully. Light actually really turning this game around. Had a rough start, was getting caught repeatedly and being picked, but now that they have control, they really are running away with this. And Light actually, once again, finding so much value on this Doomfist. Has the escape here, so can get out and look for the re-engage.
Meteor Strike over and in. Look at the backup color. Hexen does. Proud never saw that one coming from the skies. T1 in a little bit of danger here. However, Viper able to equalize, get a little bit of revenge. Tonic going to be up here in just a moment. 4-on-4 barrier having to be used here by Rakatech as they try and chase down Vigilante. They're able to finish it off as Color Hex coming a bit alive here off the sound barrier. Pulse bomb, not so much, but hey, may not be needed though. Proud back in the fight onto Niang.
The problem is Gatos Guapos didn't get the flip. So T1, they lost the early part of the fight, but now they're starting to get a little bit of traction back, and they're nearly at 50% here. In this longer fight, it is winnable for them. Light needs to start getting some of these eliminations. Proud is going to be able to blink away. And Gatos Guapos, the stabilization just isn't there. The cap isn't there. It looked so good at the start, but they've lost control now.
Yeah, it's really gone away from them. T1 has fully reestablished, now at 70%, 30% away once more. But however, Donghack goes a little bit too deep, gets picked off, gives Gatos Guapos another golden opportunity to hit on in. And if you're T1 here, Wolf, you have to back out a little bit. You don't really want to fight without Donghack, and you especially don't want to get staggered. And Color Hex says, no, it's still going to happen to Viper.
Now, as exciting as it is that Gatos Guapos win this fight, they get the cap, crowd goes wild, right? A lot was used for this, and it was a fight where T1 played a little bit laissez-faire, but they end up getting the sound barrier online. Donghack dies, but they build 95%. All they need is one team fight win, and this is a 2-0. So Gatos Guapos have no room for error as Aki drops the ult.
Light nearly got bursted down, was saved by Aki just in the nick of time. The Kitsune, right place, just barely. And I mean, if Flame got picked over there, that probably would have been the map.
This is the sound barrier fight here where you want to drop it second, but Vigilante, he can build this ult. That might be how they look to engage. They have just enough time to build that last 15%, as there's 15% left here for the side of Gatos Guapos to bring us to 5 rounds of Flashpoint. There's the barrier drop.
Yep, beat drop nearly simultaneous. Who's going to get ahead? It's going to be Viper.
Down.
Finds Niang early. And now T1 looking prime and in position. Light able to get Vigilante, though, towards the very end. Was under so much pressure. Still somehow makes it work. But Viper getting work done at the beginning. Now in the middle. Color Hex, can you be the hero and turn it back around? Pulse bomb right in, down. Doesn't get the opportunity to throw it out. And Proud looking for the last little bit of cleanup here. T1, they get the flip. And can Gatos Guapos here, Wolf, delay for enough time? They lose Rack Attack. It's coming to the end.
Yeah, that's Donghack's Meteor Strike for celebration, and T1 will ultimately win the series 2-0 despite some really nice moments there for Gatos Guapos. And man, what a turnaround for Light. The beginning of that one looked pretty doomed. He was getting caught. He wasn't able to rejoin his team. They lost momentum. But once they regrouped, it looked like they had some pretty good setup with this composition. It didn't feel like this was a for funsies moment. This was definitely something that was prepared. And I gotta say, you know, T1 won. They were the expected victors, but I did finally see some of that fire I expected to see from the Gatos in that second map. And I gotta give Light a shout out because this is a player who has been for so long in his career, never really in the spotlight. He's never like the main character. He's been the flex guy who's often in these rosters very rarely utilized. And then with his Doomfist in this game, actually ended up making a big impact and almost was able to bring that back to 5 rounds. So cool strategy here for the side of Gatos Guapos, but it's fundamentals here for T1 that went out in the end.
2 words, chaps. No mercy. And that's what T1 had here.
It the whole time.
Literally, I am dying inside. I have been waiting for hours for that.
You just unlocked a new hard mode. You get to do the desk by yourself now. Like, we're out.
No
You've been
mercy.
talking to the
That is how
T1 coaching
T1
staff. You guys need to ban this. I've got this really funny bit for later.
No mercy. That's how T1 went about business, baby. That's exactly right. And a 2-0 sweep there. And you know, gotta say, GG put up an incredible fight there as well. I think particularly that last map where we thought that it was going to go to 2-2 was definitely on the cards, but 3-1. T1 found a way to turn it around. But as you said, Light was put